Spooky season is nearly upon us, so today we're getting a jump start on those Halloween DIY projects. I've got ideas for both inside your house as well as outside your house, and I'm going to keep them all budget friendly. Also, a huge thank you to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. This first project is actually a high-end dupe from these Grandin Road spooky letters. I ended up grabbing some Joann ones for much cheaper. I got mine under $3, just wait for a sale, and I stained them in early American stain to get the same color as the inspiration. I did both Boo and Spooky. Then I just went over to my Cricut and I cut out some cobwebs, and the great thing about this is you just need some black cardstock, so if you don't have a Cricut, you could easily cut these out like snowflake style like we did in grade school. This just saved me some time. Then I took a little bit of hot glue, applied them to the corners like the inspiration, and these look so good. They look so much like the inspiration, it's not even funny, but they are so much cheaper. Even for this full spooky word at $3 a letter, that puts you at 18 bucks, under $20. I love how these turned out. The next time you're in Dollar Tree, grab some of these glow bracelets. I love having these on hand for Halloween. What I do is I take them out of the container and I print these tags, which are a free printable, over in my free resource library. If you're new to my resource library, everything's free. You just have to have the password. All those details are down in the description. I print them 2.5 inches by 5 inches, cut a little slit in the top and bottom with my scissors, nothing crazy, and then you can slide 2 to 3 essentially into the slot. These are not only great to put in your Halloween candy bucket for trick-or-treaters in case kids are allergic or they just don't like candy. It's a fun little option. And you can also tweak the tag just a little bit and gift these to coworkers as a fun little thinking of you gift, like a little bit of light for your self-care Halloween night. I toss these into the bath and it really just adds some ambiance. My printables have always been a Craft Buddy favorite, and typically I use fonts to get this handwriting look, but one of my goals this year was to get better at actual hand lettering so I could incorporate that into the design. So to do that, I just finished taking the Bounce Lettering Basics course with Brittany Louise on Craftsy, and I think I'm going to be able to use all this that I'm learning in my Christmas printables this year. I'm teaming up with Craftsy again for this video because it is an amazing online resource for all things creative. They've got over 2,000 courses on everything we love, from home decor and sewing to baking and cake decorating, with options for seriously every skill level. So many of you told me that you took advantage of the amazing membership deal from Craftsy last time I shared it, and guess what? They've given me another one for my craft buddies. I love that Craftsy classes are broken down into shorter lessons so I can sneak them in on lunch or while I'm in the parking lot waiting for preschool pickup. Craftsy is always adding new courses, and another area that I've been loving is their embroidery classes. That has allowed me to incorporate embroidery into my screen-free self-care routine, which has been awesome. I also want to try this Halloween treats class with Mr. Finn. The first 1,000 craft buddies to click the link down in the description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. You heard me right, under $2. All those details will be down in the description so you can grab yours. I'm always looking for ways that I can create large-scale items on a budget, and these spooky mirrors are it. I grabbed just a variety of sizes of frames from my local thrift store, and I looked for ones that had metallic outsides. I removed all of the pieces, and then I took the glass out, spritzed it with some water, and then over the top of the water, I sprayed some mirror effect spray paint. I took a paper towel and just blotted some of the spray paint off to get a kind of blotchy look. And then I repeated with just a little bit more because my paper towel was already wet. I could blotch it again in different spots so it really looked layered. Once I got the effect that I wanted, I let that completely dry, and then I flipped it over and spray painted the back with a black matte spray paint. That is going to create the spooky effect. Then you can pop it right back into the frame, and these things are awesome for staging. You get that mirror effect as you can see me getting the footage, but it's also great for layering to style a variety of different things, and these are so quick and easy, and I think each frame was under $5. Win. This one might feel super random with what we're using to make these candles, but promise they will turn out good. You're going to grab a plunger handle from Dollar Tree, or if you already have some dowel rods at home, or you could grab them at the hardware store as well. This is just really cost effective. I cut off the rounded end as well as the piece of the handle that goes into the actual rubber part of the plunger, and I ended up marking and cutting them down to 4 different lengths that I wanted, ranging from 4 inches to 7 inches tall. Then I just gave it a quick sand to make sure that I got off any residue from the sticker as well as any rough patches from cutting. Then I'm going to mix together a little bit of water as well as some black paint and apply it directly to the dowel rod to give it this kind of spooky rustic look. Now, what are candles without a flame? We're going to make those out of hot glue. You need some sort of mat that the glue's not going to stick to, so I'm using a silicone mat, but you could also easily just use some wax paper or parchment paper. Go ahead and draw your shapes on there, let them completely cool, and they're going to harden. Once the flame shape is hardened, then you can go through with a little bit of paint or a paint marker and add a little bit of yellow, a little bit of gold, a little bit of orange, whatever suits your fancy to make it look like the flames that you want. And then I added a little bit more hot glue to the tops of all of my little faux wood candles so I could add my flame. Now you can either leave the glue as is and add these effects like I did, or if you really want it to kind of blend in differently, you could paint the quote unquote melted wax, which is the hot glue at the top, black. My last step was to tie them together with a little bit of jute twine, and these things are the perfect addition to any setup. And what I like is they are super fun and festive, but they don't take up a ton of room. I don't know about you, but I have seen these viral little Dollar Tree ghosts all over my social media pages, so I decided to do my own version. You're going to need one of these paper towel holders that are metal from Dollar Tree, as well as a ghost. I made two, so I need two of each, but if you're just making one, you only need one of each. We're going to start by getting our little ghost ready, so cut off the tags, the hanger, and then cut off these little tag hooks. They kind of look like how you get tags on your shirts. You're going to carefully trim that off so you can completely detach that white sheet piece of fabric. Then we're going to take the foam piece, which has the head and the arms, and this is great because it's going to allow you to pose it, which is awesome. And I'm going to add just some hot glue to the bottom of the head and glue the stick on so it'll be freestanding. You don't need a lot of glue, mine stuck really easily. And then I'm going to flip my sheet around so the face that's on there is actually in the back, because I'm going to add my own eyes that fit more my style. I'm just cutting out two little pieces to make eyes, just like I did for my Gus the Ghost pillow in my Pottery Barn dupes video. And then you're going to drape it over the top and add them with some hot glue. Then you could do whatever you want to pose them. Some people I saw use these little Dollar Tree pumpkins, and I liked this, but then I went to the Walmart dollar section and they had these cute little pink and orange pails. They came in a pack of 6. They had white, orange, and pink, and these are so cute. They look like little trick-or-treaters. I am obsessed. Finn loves putting blankets over his head and acting like a ghost, so this was a win for our house in so many ways. One of my favorite Halloween staples to grab every year from Dollar Tree is this Just yarn, kind of chenille yarn, and I use them to create some really fun textured candy corn. So the first thing I did was create a template and just grabbed an old box from an Amazon order, and then I just used some hot glue to attach the yarn in the order of candy corn. So you've got white on the top, orange on the center, and then yellow on the bottom. I had to use a little bit of hot glue to help everything kind of sit where it needed to, but after I did that, I have adorable bowl filler for really inexpensive. I only had to get the 3 things of yarn, and I had plenty left over to make these. You can also do the same concept with these Dollar Tree cones. Again, use a little bit of hot glue, wrap it around, make sure it stays, and then continue to wrap it around until you have the look that you're going for. These are great additions to any setup. The texture plus the color is really perfect, and depending on how you style it, it can go primitive, it can go rustic, tons of different options, but I love how these turned out. They're so fun. 2 years ago, I was tagged in a video where somebody made these Sanderson sisters light up plywood cutouts so many times, like a million times I was tagged, and so I decided to make my own. I grabbed a cheap handy panel and used these cutouts I got from Etsy to cut them out, sand them down, and then paint them black. I've got a slower tutorial if you're interested in these because they do take a little bit of time, but they are so worth it. I was able to add lights and the rebar to the back, and they are such a great addition to my yard for Halloween, and they just look magical, pun intended, at night. So I will link that video down below if you're interested in my Sanderson sisters. I have fallen in love with these oversized seasonal prints, but oh my gosh, 150 bucks, so crazy. So what I did is I decided to get some art from Etsy and print out 20 by 30 inch posters. So I got 2 of them. Then to make them really look like someone painted them instead of just getting them printed at Walgreens or Kinko's or whatever, I added some matte Mod Podge. I saw this trick a couple months ago on TikTok and I've been kind of saving it in my back pocket until I had a project for it, and this is it. You're going to start with your first coat, cover the entire thing. Let it dry, and then you're going to go back in no matter what your design is. I'm doing pumpkins, I'm doing ghosts. You could do this honestly for anything. You're going to go over the top and really accentuate the curves and the details of what your painting is about. So I'm going over the trees with stippling. I'm going over the curves of the pumpkins, and you want to make sure you are a little more heavy-handed the second time around. It's going to dry clear, start white, and it's going to give a beautiful, beautiful texture. Now, while that is drying, I went out to the garage and grabbed some scrap 1x2x8. These are about $3 a piece. You can get them cheaper if you buy the furring strips, but I like the 1x2s because they have square corners. I'm going to measure 30 inches and cut a 45-degree angle. I'm doing all of this on my miter box to show you that you don't need big tools for this project. Once you've got a 45-degree angle cut at 30 inches, you're going to go to the other end and cut the other angle. Now the key here is you want to make sure that from long point to long point is 30 inches, and you're going to want 2 of those pieces. Then you're going to have a 45-degree end. You're going to go to the other end and measure 20 inches. So in total, you're going to have 2 30-inch and 2 20-inch per picture, and you are going to only be left with a little bit of waste from that 1x8, which I love. Then when you line them up on Dollar Tree poster board, which is what we're going to mount them on, the 20x30 fits perfect. You have a beautiful square corner frame. Then all you have to do to customize is sand down those rough edges and then stain or paint whatever vibe you want. I end up doing English chestnut on these. It's not one of my top used stains, but I do like the reddish orangey color, especially to go with the prints that I chose. Now, once your images are dry, you're going to use some double-sided tape and attach them to the foam board. You don't need a ton of tape. This is just to hold them in place while you're going to hook your frame on. I'm going to flip it over once I have everything kind of where I want it, line up one of my long sides, and staple it down. Then I'm going to add both of my sides as well as my top, make sure everything is lined up in the corners. And then I'm going to just do a quick little staple on all the different sides, just so everything stays put. I can make sure it's where I want it. And then I'm going to continue on the outside. Now on each corner, I am going to do one of these corner fastener staples, so across, and that is going to grab both sides and keep your frame together. Now at this point, if you are going to lean it up, you are done. If you want to hang it on the wall, you can quickly add a little hanger to the back. I've done that on some of mine. It's light enough that it is great to hang on the wall. I have to pat myself on the back because when my mom first saw these when I was getting the stage shots, she asked me if I painted it, and like, I am not a painter. I do not have that skill. But with the texture and everything, I was like, okay, I'm patting myself on the back. I think this is a pretty good dupe. As a reminder, theirs was $148 for the same size. I made a dupe for $25, 83% off. One of my most loved and most downloaded files is this Man in the Moon, but I wanted to show you how you could take this under $9 round, 15 inches from Lowe's, and make one that is Cricut free. You do not need a Cricut for it. So the first thing you're going to do is stain your round so you have a dark base. Then I'm taking a chippy brush and some white chalk paint, and I'm getting off the excess, and then I'm going to put the white over the top. The goal here is to have that dark stain, which is early American, shine through just enough that it gives you some texture. Then I created this template for you. You can print it out. It's 4 sheets of paper, and then you're going to cut it and put it together like a poster. It's going to line up in the center, and then you can trim around the outside to create a transfer or a stencil. Now, if you have graphite paper like I do, this is really helpful. If you don't, no worries. Just take a pencil and color on the back where you're going to transfer. It's going to do the exact same thing, but instead of having the paper in between, the lead from you coloring on the back is going to transfer. You're going to take some sort of utensil, whether that be a pen or a pencil. I like using a pen because I can see where I've worked, and you're going to trace all of those little pieces. This took me maybe 10 minutes, so it may feel tedious, but it's pretty quick. And then when you're done and you take off the graphite paper, you're going to have this little paint by number situation, even though you're just going to use black. I'm using my favorite paint markers from Amazon to trace the outside of this, and then that's it. That's all you have to do. I ended up sealing it real quick with just some clear matte spray paint. You can also use a spray polyacrylic or a wipe-on polyacrylic, whatever you have. But I like that it is sealed, so when I pack it away, it's not going to get scratched, especially the black paint. These sell for so much money, and I love this 15-inch round size. If you are a person with a Cricut and would like to make it or make a smaller one, I also have a Dollar Tree tutorial where you can use a Dollar Tree round to make your own, and then both the template and the SVG file are available over in my free file library. So if you're interested in this tutorial on how to make the one with the Cricut, I will link that down below. Next, let's make some of these super trendy bats for your wall. I ended up using some of this Dollar Tree poster board, but you could use black cardstock or black construction paper, and you could cut them out by hand if you don't have a Cricut, but I just put it on my mat and ended up cutting a variety of different sizes of bats on my Cricut. Now, if you have Design Space and you want the file that I used, I will link the Design Space project over there. I just used the bat file and sized it to a variety of different sizes from 4 inches all the way up to 8 inches. Now you want to make sure that whatever you're using, you carefully pull your mat back from your material, like I'm doing here, so they don't curl because you want them to be flat. If you have little ones like this too, you can use your scraper tool to help get them off. Then what I'm going to do is take some of this Scotch tape. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You're going to put a tape roll on the body of your bat and then fold the wings up just a tad. Then you can stick it right on the wall. You're not going to have any damage, and you can easily reposition them if you stick one and it's not where you want it. And the best part is, once you know how to make these, or once you have them, you could literally put them all over your house. I put them on my lampshades to look nice and spooky. I also use them on walls on a lot of other DIY projects. So the sky's the limit, and bats are just so fun. And speaking of bats, I love this next one too. Grab yourself some of these Halloween rings as well as some fun soap. I went with orange, and I actually grabbed this smaller one for $1.24 at Walmart, but you could fill your own stuff with that big Dollar Tree jug for $1.25. Cut the ring parts off of the bats or spiders, whatever you want to do, and fit them inside the soap. I used the little straw thing that works with the pump to push them down and get them all around, and this is so fun and festive, and it really makes Finn excited to wash his hands as we head into cold and flu season. Another area of my house that is great for decorating seasonally is my dining room table. I had somebody reach out to me last year and ask if I could make some Witch's Broom napkin rings because they saw them for really expensive at another store, and I said sure. So I grabbed these from Dollar Tree as well as these little rings, but you can use shower rings or you can do this to attach it to napkin rings you already have. I just needed to cut down both the broom piece as well as the long outside piece, and I went ahead and just used the little sheer ribbon from the broom already to tie it onto the napkin ring. The nice thing is you can easily take it off and add something else for the seasons, and then that way you only need one napkin ring, or if you want more hold, you can use hot glue. All you have to do is slide it on to your napkin, and you've got these cute little witch's brooms. This is great for Hocus Pocus watch parties or just to set on the plates in your formal dining room so it looks like it's all put together fun and cute. Another take on this is using a bat shape instead of a witch's broom to create a napkin ring. And this is a template that I just drew out really quick for myself to create the wings of a bat. Now, you could easily cut out the bat shape that we did earlier from Cricut Design Space, but this one I thought was nice because it made the wings look a lot wider. I ended up tying the center with some jute twine, and then I tied it on to the little napkin ring, and it just looks like there's a cute little bat on the napkin ring. You can get as creative as you want with this. I also made some of these with pumpkins for fall that you can swap back out after Halloween. So tons of different options, quick and easy to put together, and it makes your table look really put together. Another fun way to use felt and bat shapes are for garlands. Now, Dollar Tree sometimes carries these felt shapes, so you could easily cut your own, or you could buy these to save a step. And I'm using a doll upholstery needle to hang the bats because I need to puncture each wing to get my jute twine to go through. I want to make sure the extra jute twine is in the back, so then that way you can just see the bats and you don't have a line of jute twine across the front. This is totally a 5-minute project, and it adds such an impact. Another Whiskey and Whisk project that has definitely stood the test of time that I bring out every year. I made this about 3 years ago is this hand painted sign. I've got a full tutorial that I will link for you to show you how to paint this yourself. And if you're not a Hocus Pocus person, you could easily do just this general Halloween one. They're really easy to hand paint, and you just need either some reclaimed wood if you've got some free wood, or you can make it with some fence pickets. So you can get those for a couple bucks at your hardware store. So a few different options, but it turns out so cute. It's so fun. Trick-or-treaters have always made comments on it when they come up, and I love Hocus Pocus. Now, if you're a diehard craft buddy, you know that I love my free printables, and Halloween is no exception. So I have got a wide variety of free printables for you over on my blog, both the Hocus Pocus pack that you are seeing here, and I also have just some general Halloween ones as well. Everything from artwork to this one, which is a script of a scene from Hocus Pocus, one of my favorites, when they think the road is a babbling brook and it's actually a road with blacktop. And then I've got a bunch of different ones, as you can see here. The other thing you can do with these is add them to signs from Dollar Tree, or really anywhere. You can find them in the dollar section at a lot of other stores as well. I just cut my ones out to the size, and you can print them on just a regular dust printer. You don't need anything crazy. I print them out, I cut them up, and then I stick them on with double-sided tape, and it really makes over the sign quick and easy to do. And then you've got some cheap custom signs. Or you could just keep it super simple and put it on a clipboard from Dollar Tree or frame them. All these are free over on my blog, link in the description. Now, what would Halloween be without some sweet treats? So here is how I created these awesome Hocus Pocus inspired treats for my watch party last year, and I'm definitely making them again this year. Step one is to make the brownies for the books, and we're not doing anything crazy here. We're just doing a box mix. And what I like to do is replace the oil with the same amount of melted butter, but you can make it accordance to the box. That's just personal preference for the kind of moist texture it gives the brownies. I'm going to put them into the pan, make sure it's greased, and bake them according to the package instructions. And then I'm going to cut out all of these little pieces that are the size of the books. You want kind of longer rectangles. Then I'm taking a mixture of goodies I found just in the baking section at Walmart, these large eyeballs, as well as some easy squeeze icing just to make it super simple. We're going to do a long line of black down the one side, outline our eyes, and then also create the little stitching on either side. Couple little loop-de-doops on the top and bottom, and as you can see, these don't have to be perfect to be super fun and cute. This is also another great kids, grandkids project, especially if you want to watch Hocus Pocus or even another Halloween themed video. It doesn't have to be just Hocus Pocus, that's just the book that I modeled these off. Then I added them to this cute little tray I got from Target, and then it was time to make my little Winnie Sanderson mouths. So I cut a cookie, again store-bought because we're not trying to go too crazy here. It saved me a ton of time, but if you want to make it, you go right ahead. To each their own, do what makes you feel good. Then I am going to just create a little bit of like a lipstick situation on the front so it looks like a mouth after the two are hooked together. Spread it out with a knife, and then add 2 mini marshmallows to create kind of that signature buck tooth type of look that Winifred Sanderson has. I think these are so fun. They were a hit at the party, and they are just as much fun to make as they are to display, and it's going to look like you tried super hard. And if brownies aren't your vibe, no worries. You can make an actual Sanderson Sisters spell book for your decor. I made this one following a tutorial from my good friend Bargain Bethany, and it was super easy to do. It was a mixture of some cardboard, some hot glue, and it looks funky until you paint it. I used nutmeg brown. I just added some additional effects with gray and gold, and bada bing, bada boom, I've got a book. I love adding pop culture elements and like movies into my seasonal decor, and this one is no exception. I grabbed some apples from Amazon, which I will link all the supplies from today's video down below so you can easily find them in the description. It's just underneath the video. And I started by taking these fake apples and drawing a poison apple face from Snow White. Then I took my glue gun and traced around that outline so that it was raised, and then I got rid of any of the little wispies. I mixed together some kind of neon green paint as well as some of this Arteza sparkle paint to really make it look like the gooey poison apple that you see in the movie. And then using those glue pieces as a guide, I am painting the inner parts so that you can see the red nose and the red eyes. It ended up taking me 3 coats to finish this off, but once I did, it definitely gave the vibe I was looking for. And I also painted a couple of them white because in the movie you've got both green and white poison apples. Then I wanted to have a sign to add to the setup, and this was actually a mystery box item that I was sent from my friend Jennifer at Little Bit of Calm and Crazy. So I added the Evil Queen's Apple Orchard to it with some heat transfer vinyl, and I used the heat transfer vinyl versus regular because I didn't have glitter regular vinyl and I wanted this thing to sparkle, so you could use either or. I used the lowest setting on my mini press to add both of these after cutting them out of my Cricut, and it was the perfect addition. This file came from Etsy, so I will link that down in the description if you're interested in getting the same one. This is not my file, but I definitely support other creators when I can if I don't have the time or the patience to create a file myself. Okay, there are a lot of projects that I absolutely love in this video, so they are kind of duking it out for my favorite. This is one of them. This is a really easy beginner project. You just have to make a couple cuts with your saw. So the first thing we're going to do is cut 2 of the wider pickets at 24 inches for the back of our sign. Then we need 2 sides that I cut to 6 inches to create our candy box. Then measure straight across the bottom with everything laid out like this to create the bottom of your box. Mine ended up being about 12 inches. You're going to want to measure though. Then here's what you're looking at, and we're going to measure across the top to ensure that we have a front piece that will cover. Once everything is cut, here is what your items will look like. So 2 at 24 inches, 2 sides at 6 inches, and then we've got the bottom and front cut to measure, which is about 12 and 13 inches, but make sure you measure before you cut because it's probably like 12 and 3/8 or something like that to get it to be flush. Then I'm just taking some scrap fence pickets to brace the back. Again, glue in those nails. If you don't have a nail gun, go ahead and go through with a hammer and some finishing nails. Just make sure they're 1 inch so they don't pop out the front. While that wood filler is drying, we are going to assemble the box part of the sign, and then we're going to stencil them separately just so it's easier to work with. So I'm going to add both of my sides to my bottom of my box, and then once those are added, I am going to add the front piece. Our wood filler is dry by now, so we are going to give that a good sand, wipe it off so you get rid of any of the little dust, and then I decided to stain it in that early American color that I really like. Now for the back of the sign, I'm just doing the edges because I'm going to paint the center, so I figured it wasn't worth doing that, and I also made sure to stain the back, so if anybody sees the back of the sign, it looks finished. Then I'm grabbing 1-inch painter's tape as well as my new favorite thing, the tape cap. I love using this thing because I don't have to go hunting for the edge of the tape, and it makes a clean line. I'm going to tape a 1-inch border around the outside over the top of that stain that I just added, and then I'm going to paint chalk paint over the top. I'm going to peel off that paint, and voila, I have a faux border without having to add any more wood or cost or bulk. I'm going to do the same thing, 1-inch border around the front of my box, so it kind of looks like a chalkboard like sign on the front, and then you can customize however you want. You could use chalkboard paint and actually draw on it if you want, but I decided to stencil this trick or treat as well as the back part. Again, is a free file for you, so you can head over to my blog. Now I started by stenciling the black paint first just to match what I was going for to kind of seal the stencil down, and then I went through with some white as well as some orange to add a little bit of color. Now for some reason I had a heck of a time getting this to seal. I don't know if it was the humidity that day, but I had a little bit of kind of bleeding here, so once I got rid of all of my little pieces on the inside of my letters, I touched it up with a little brush and it was perfectly fine. Then for the back, I did this fun mixture of different kind of whimsy, kind of cartoon-like Halloween images, and I went through with orange, white, silver, and a deep purple color to customize it. I just set everything again in black because that was the base color, let that dry, and then I just used these removable makeup sponges to stencil it on. If you don't have a Cricut, there are a ton of great options at your local craft store that you can grab. You could also do letters, so stenciling is not just for Cricut, you could absolutely do it with stencils from Dollar Tree even. Now once that's all dry, it is time to attach it, so you just slide the back into the box here, and I realized I needed to put it on its side to be safe, safety first, did that, and it was much easier. I did 3 nails on either side. I forewent the wood glue and it held just fine. Fill it up with your favorite candy, and I plan on using this when we take Finn out trick-or-treating this year. I like to have candy out because a lot of other families do that. We are a young neighborhood, and so kids can go up and trick-or-treat even if we aren't home to hand out candy. This next one is so quick and easy. You're going to grab yourself some plates at Dollar Tree. I love these orange ones, and I just cut out some fun faces on my Cricut from Cricut Design Space. These jack-o'-lantern faces are all from Design Space. I've got this project saved, and you just apply them, stick these on your table. Super, super cute. I know so many of you love Hocus Pocus, so I had to include these next few projects because they are perfect for a Hocus Pocus setup. This cutout here of the Tombstone came from Joann's, but you could also cut this out in some Dollar Tree like foam board if you want. I'm starting by painting it a gray color to give it a base, and then I'm using a mixture of like gray and black to splotch around the outside just to make it look old and worn. Then I am using this cutout that says "Here Lies Emily Binx," and I stuck this on and then realized I put 1963, so I ended up fixing it. Don't worry, the file in the folder is correct, but had a little transpose error there. But nonetheless, this is great for Emily Binx to go next to my fun little Binx cat I found on Amazon. Then to also add to that vignette, I spray painted some Thrifted candlesticks black, added a DIY black flame candle, and I also added some of these Amazon pillar candles. I like it because it adds to the spooky vibe, but I'm not afraid my toddler is going to light the house on fire if he bumps into it, which is awesome. The other thing that I added to this that I absolutely love is this candy bucket. The bucket itself came from the Target dollar spot for $5, and I just added some white vinyl that says "We're back, witches." Super fun and festive, and it's perfect in any situation, but this is also great if you have a Hocus Pocus watch party. It was so fitting for Hocus Pocus too because they were indeed back. I also used it for candy for when the trick-or-treaters came. It was nice to be able to hold on to the handles while the kids grabbed the candy out. Now, I have a whole Hocus Pocus video that I did last year with a ton more DIYs, so if this is your vibe, I will link that up in the iCards as well as down below. All the details with how I did the party, etc., you can check that out. One of my most popular Dollar Tree DIYs both on YouTube and my other platforms last year were these DIY black flame candles, because you guys know I love me some Hocus Pocus. If you do too, I've got a ton of different videos. Last year and the year before, I did full videos with Hocus Pocus DIYs. This one's so simple. Put some painter's tape around the flame of an LED candle, paint it black, remove the tape, and it is the perfect addition to a Hocus Pocus setup. If you're interested in those other DIYs, check the link below. Last year, I made a Mickey Pumpkin Luminary, and this year we are going to make a Mickey Pumpkin Candy Dish, a dupe of the Pottery Barn Kids version. They're selling for $79. I grabbed one of these craft pumpkins from Joann's for $11.99. Get them wherever you can find them. I just grabbed orange so I wouldn't have to paint it, and I used a kitchen knife to hollow out the top so it was a bowl. Then I'm taking some of that antique wax we used for the stone pumpkins, and I'm applying it into the grooves and then letting it sit for a couple seconds, and then I'm wiping it in with a tissue. That is just going to make those grooves more pronounced, and it's going to make that pumpkin look a little bit more realistic instead of a plastic craft pumpkin. Then I also needed to cover that lip because the white from the foam being cut was just not, I wasn't feeling it. So we are going to cover that with just some chalk paint. This is the color Pumpkin. Now for our ears, we're going to need 2 Dollar Tree ladles, whichever ones you can find. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to pop through this with my miter shears. Oh, was I wrong. I went to town, tried to cut it, and it was just not budging. So I took it outside, tried to just start with my little handsaw to be like, okay, am I going to come out here and have to cut this? That didn't work. And then I thought, I have this PVC pipe cutter, maybe this will work, and ta-da! That was it. You can get these for like $10, so if you cut a lot of plastic, this thing I think is going to come up to my craft room so I can chop some more stuff. Then I knew I wanted to spray paint them to give them a base coat because I was going to paint them with chalk paint and I didn't think that would stick as well to the plastic. So once they were primed, I started with the pumpkin color just to cover it, and when they dried, they were way too bright. They did not go with the pumpkin. So then I tried to darken them up with some antique wax and it was just not mixing. So then I decided to go through and make a different color, try to color match the pumpkin, and that worked much better, so I ended up painting that color. To attach my ears to my pumpkin, I made some slots on either side so that I would be able to slide in the little handle piece. I had a lot of you suggest this last year that I should just have left a little bit more on it for the ears to just pop in, and that was a great idea. So once I was able to get the size that I wanted, then I could pop the ears in and it was perfect. I reinforced the ears with just a little bit of hot glue just to make sure it would kind of sit where I wanted them to. And then my last step was to add the face. Now you could do this a few different ways. You could do what I did last year and cut out the face and have it be a traditional like lantern. You could also grab the template from my free file library over on my blog. Details will be down in the description. You could trace it on and then paint on the Mickey face, or you could do what I did and use the SVG also in my free file library to cut out the face in just some black vinyl and just apply the stickers that way. I ended up doing it by hand just because I didn't want the transfer tape to do anything wonky to my pumpkin, and I ended up being able to get it centered just fine. Oh my gosh, how cute is this guy? And I am so happy about this. This is another one that Finn loved when I brought down to get some footage. And honestly, like, I'm a huge Halloween candy person. Last year, my friend Val over at Auntie Cuckoo sent me this Dollar Tree sign in a mystery box, and it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do with it, but I decided to cut it up and paint it 3 different colors. I did one black, one purple, and then left one white. Then I created these really fun SVG files that, you guessed it, are over in my free file library that are a mashup between Taylor Swift lyrics and the Haunted Mansion ride at Disney World and Disneyland. I love Haunted Mansion. It is such a nostalgic thing for me, and I love incorporating it into my DIYs and my Halloween decor just as much as I love Hocus Pocus. So I thought these were the perfect use of this mystery box item. All I had to do was cut them out to size, weed them, and then apply them with paper transfer tape. I like that because it's lower tack. I get mine from Amazon, and it peels off really easily without ripping the paint that you just worked so hard to add to your sign. These are such a great addition to my little setup where I have my Haunted Mansion house and my Hallmark ornaments that are Haunted Mansion. So definitely check out the free file library if you are a Swiftie and Disney Halloween fan like me. This Gus the Ghost pillow has been on my list to dupe for a couple years now. They usually just have the ghost, but this year he is holding a little pumpkin, so that was the nudge I needed to do it. I grabbed this pillow insert that I had just sitting around my house. It's an 18 by 18. I tied the center and then tucked the 2 edges in to kind of give the shape of the ghost. Then I took a 1/2 yard piece of that Sherpa, so I bought a yard, cut it in half, and then I used one for one ghost, one for the other. You're just going to lay it out to get the draping that you want, trim it until it's good, and then I used my upholstery needle and just some white cotton thread from Dollar Tree to kind of do an invisible hook there to make sure that the Sherpa was not going to come off of my pillow form, but you could easily take it off and use that pillow form for something else later. Then that way you could just store the outside part and not have to worry about that. All you have to do after that is add 2 eyes and bada bing, bada boom. Now, what if you want Gus the Ghost holding a pumpkin? That one's just as easy. I'm going to do a trick to kind of make it look like it's floating with some white twine again. So this cotton twine, I'm just looping it from underneath the one side of Gus to the other side, and I'm tying a knot just underneath the surface of the Sherpa fabric. Then that way it is going to sit there, and it's going to look like his little hands are inside of the sheet that's making him a ghost holding up the pumpkin. And then I just made the little pumpkin with scraps from my jack-o'-lantern and then one pipe cleaner in the top. You can adjust as needed, and these things definitely have stolen my heart. I love them so much. This stack of witches books are super quick and easy to make with cheap Dollar Tree supplies. Or you could even use some that you already have. I grabbed these 3 different sizes of hardcover books from Dollar Tree, and I painted all of them black so that they would match. If you can find 3 black books at Dollar Tree, that would even save you a step, but black paint on top of them, it's pretty quick. I did the edges just like you would with a book cover, so it all looked like it came that way. And then I took a disposable makeup sponge, blotched on a little bit of white as well as some silver paint just to give it that weathered look. It would also look really pretty, kind of buffed out with gold metallic. Then I just took a paint pen, wrote broom care, potions and spells, things that you would think you would see on a witch's bookshelf, and tied them up, and they were good to go. This is a fun activity that you could even do with kids because it doesn't have to be perfect. They could add whatever color they want to the sides, and how fun of a keepsake would this be if you had your kids write what they wanted on the side of the books? You can get them out year after year. This next one is for my wood build junkies, and we're going to use some fence pickets for this fun project. I'm using the wider cedar fence pickets, so these are about 5.5 inches wide, and I cut the tops off of 4 of them to be 20, 18, 15, and 12 inches tall. I also went through with some scrap little 1x2 furring strips to cut them down so I could brace my sign. Once everything had been cut and sanded, I went through for the front and the sides with some white chalk paint, and then I used my nail gun to brace those pieces together face down. So you're going to want all of your unpainted sides facing up, so then that way you can put the back on. You can paint the back as well. I just didn't think it was necessary because I'm going to have this leaned up against a wall. I needed one more quick scrap piece of wood to brace the top 2 of those ghosts together. And to make them really look like ghosts, I added just some faces with paint marker, and this turned out so good. My last step was to seal it with some polyacrylic. I like this triple thick, and while it does say interior for things that aren't going to be directly rained on, I really like it because it doesn't yellow, and that is going to protect my little ghost buddies from any elements. This is so fun to display either inside or outside your house, and it's quick and easy to put together. Something great to keep in mind, especially if you don't have an area for a porch sign but you want something similar, is to find a smaller version at a place like Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree sells signs like this usually every season. They had some for summer, they've got some fall ones, and what you can do is either apply vinyl right to it, or you can do the tracing method I showed you in the previous project. Either way will work. These Happy Halloween files, as well as the Addams Family file you will see in just a second, is free over on my blog. I also have a template so you can add your name. So instead of the Addams family, you could put the Johnson family, the Jones family, the Garcia family, whatever you want to, do that. That's also a fun little hostess gift if you're going to a Halloween party for their kids or adults. I just went ahead and applied the vinyl to this one. Same with the one for the Addams family, and super cute, super fun, and it's definitely something that you could put in an apartment or in your house instead of having a porch sign and needing to find room for it. Now, on the other end of the outdoor decor spectrum is this Haunted Mansion sign. This is the first one I made last fall, and I started by going to Home Depot and gathering all my supplies. Now, I have a full video that's breaking down all the supplies that you need to make the actual post to hang the sign, so I will link that down below. You can head over there and I will show you exactly how I made it. It was a pretty easy process to put everything together, and it has also lasted out in the elements for a year now, and it just needs another quick coat of sealant, but it is doing really well. So just an FYI there, if you want to make it, it lasts for a good amount of time. To make the hanging sign, I just did 3 pieces of fence picket, braced the back, and then I used a couple cans of paint that I had in my garage to create kind of a scalloped effect, and then used my jigsaw to cut it out. I ended up cutting one side and then using that piece as kind of a guide for the other side as well as the bottom, so it looked a little bit more symmetrical. And here is what it looked like when I was done. I ended up sanding and painting the entire thing black and then added a Cricut decal, this Haunted Mansion decal, and I was able to just kind of stamp really lightly over the top the paint. And then to finish it off, you need to drill 2 holes in the top of your sign and put these C-hooks. You just twist it right on in. And again, if you head over to that video, this is kind of a lengthy project, so I will refer you to that original video to get the slower tutorial. But here's a gist of how everything came together. And then you hang it with some chains that I got as well at Home Depot. I'm not sure you can find a bigger fan of Dollar Tree t-shirts than me. I've screen printed so many of them, and last year I decided to try something new because I got the ability to sublimate. So if you have a sublimation machine, this is for you, or if you can find, graphics that people will send to you that you could sublimate on a shirt. I just grabbed an orange t-shirt from Dollar Tree that was kind of half cotton, half polyester. So it's actually not like perfect for sublimation, but I decided to add these files that I got from Etsy, and I have a whole video on how to sublimate if you would like to check that out. What I'm going to do is press these 2 designs. I did Hocus Pocus as well as some fall coffees right onto the shirts. And don't worry that it's going to look a little dull because we are going to fix that in a second. Both of my shirts were pressed. I took them outside and did a 50-50 mix of bleach and water in a spray bottle. I used the gel bleach so it wouldn't like shoot everywhere, and I'm spraying around the design as well as a little bit of spatter around the outside. This is going to bleach the area where the design is, and you just want to make sure you do it outside in direct sunlight. As you can see here, it's going to start to develop, and depending on the type of shirt you have, it will either fully bleach, or this one, it made it like a neon yellow color, which I really liked. And so once it got to the point where I was ready to be done, I flipped the shirt over really quick, did the back, let the spatters kind of set in on the back, and then I brought it inside, rinsed the entire thing off in my slop sink, and then ran a full load with just those shirts in them with detergent to make sure to clean out all of the bleach and such. But once I did that, I loved how these turned out. They were super fun to wear throughout the season, both the fall beverage shirt as well as this one. And I loved this file so much, the Mean Girls and Hocus Pocus. These little Sanderson sister dolls were one of your guys' favorites last year, so I had to bring them back and share the tutorial again because they are so fun for a watch party or just a Halloween setup in general. So let's do the big ones first. I started with a large styrofoam cone as well as a large styrofoam ball that I got from Michael's, and I ended up painting the styrofoam balls at the top a flesh color so that would be their faces. Then I painted the three bodies red, purple, and green to match the sisters' outfits. Then I decided to kind of try to make some curly hair with my heat gun. So I wrapped some yellow yarn around and heated it up. I just wrapped it around these like little dowel rod sticks, and it gave some wave to it. It definitely wasn't like the best, but I did like that I could, add a base layer and it have a little bit of a wave to it because that is how Sarah's hair is. Once I covered the whole head for Sarah, I moved on to Winifred, and I used these two little like flat end wood balls that I already had in my stash. And then I wrapped those to create her two buns in orange yarn, and then I continued around the rest of her head. I just really didn't have a rhyme or reason. I just used glue as needed to try to get everything to sit on her head. Now for Mary's, I had to use a little bit of like fishing line wire stuff that I had. This is just like jute wire, and I wrapped her hair around to get that, beehive with the little zoop on the end, and then I wrapped around a little bit of purple yarn. Now I feel like their cloaks made all the difference, so I grabbed these three colors in kind of just a velvet material, and you really don't need that much, like a quarter of a yard, and you will still have some left over. I cut a piece to fit Winnie just to kind of see, and I left some additional slack up above at the top so it kind of looked like either the collar or the hood of it. And what are these sisters without their individual objects for flying? The broom is just a Dollar Tree broom for Winifred, but I needed to make a mop for Sarah. And so I took some Dollar Tree nautical like white rope, and I pulled the little strands apart, glued it to the bottom of a dowel rod to start making it look like a mop. Then the vacuum was a little bit more involved, but it actually wasn't too bad. I created this kind of like curved shape, and I made about 6 of them, glued them together, and this is going to give us the head of our vacuum. I added some hot glue to the tops and bottoms and kind of wrapped it just like I would a present in this jute like wrapping paper, so it looked like one individual piece instead of all of those corrugated pieces together. I used a dowel rod for the vacuum's handle, and then I also went through with a little bit more of that wrapping paper to create the bag of the vacuum. And then to get it to puff up, I just put a little bit of polyfill that I had. You could use Kleenex, you could use cotton balls, whatever you have. I painted my little stick the silver color. I painted the head of the vacuum with a little bit of green paint, and then I used hot glue to attach the bag as well as just a little bit of black yarn to look like the cord for the vacuum. So that was very down and dirty. It was a quick put together, but I think they look really cute. They definitely are on brand, and I love them so much I had to make some smaller ones. So I did the same thing pretty much with the hair and the cloaks and everything, but instead of using styrofoam, I used wood and wood little balls for the bodies. So I painted the bodies as well as the heads the same colors that I did for the larger ones, and then I had to use some little chopped up sticks for the hair to get the buns to stick up, and as I was going I was just being resourceful. And then these fit really well with this cute little witch's brew coffee mug that I got from the dollar spot at Target. They all look super good next to my little bubbling cauldron, and this was perfect for my watch party, and I'm definitely breaking these out again this year. I hope you enjoyed this video and you're leaving inspired to do some DIYs for Halloween for your home. While you're still here, head down to the comments and let me know what your favorite project was in this video. If you can't pick one, let me know a few favorites. That just helps me inform future videos. Also, a huge thank you to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. All those details on how to get a year of premium membership to Craftsy for under $2. It's only $1.49 with this deal for a whole year. You can grab that down in the description. And if you're already a Craftsy member, let me know what some of your favorite classes are and what I should check out. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe if you're new so you don't miss any future videos, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!